work that you are so passionate about, the work that you feel called to do and called to bring into this world, what if it is slowly turning into something that it was never meant to be? And you might be thinking, what? That would never ever happen. But to be honest with you, I've seen it more times than you'd expect. The good news is that there is one key ingredient, in my opinion, that makes our life's work not only sustainable, but more fulfilling, more impactful, and aligned every step of the way. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. Why? Because we do not want to burn out on the thing that we love, right? We do not want to burn out on literally our mission, the song that we are meant to sing, the book that we are meant to write, the art that we are meant to create. We do not want to burn out on it. We want it to stay beautiful and amazing and divine. We want it to be the source of our happiness, our livelihood, our legacy, our impact. We want to build power and momentum, right? More fuel, more impact, more lives touched, just more, not losing it. So we have to do it differently. And this is one of the ways that we do it so that it doesn't turn into something that it was never meant to be. So that we don't lose our inspiration, so that we don't lose ourselves in the process or get lost in why we're doing it and what we're doing and where we're going. Oh my gosh, that would be like the biggest failure ever. Wouldn't it? Oh, I don't know about you, but I would live in a deep state of sadness if that were to happen. A deep state of sadness. So let's make sure that that's not going to happen, okay? And it's one thing for us to know what we want, the big vision of what we want. It's one thing for us to know what we want in each and every moment. It's one thing for us to be aware of that. It's a whole other thing for it to feel the way that we want it to. That's the ingredient, for it to feel the way that we want it to. Because if our work and the life's work that we're pursuing and going after, if it becomes something that it was never meant to be, that's unsustainable. We're not going to get to where we want to go. We're not going to make the impact that we want to make. We're not going to change the world in the way that we want to change the world. We have to keep the present looking like a present. So for me, this revelation came when I was walking my dog a few days ago. And hopefully in me sharing this story with you, that it'll bring some tangibleness to the conversation. So I was walking my dog and I thought to myself, well, that would be awesome to get a behind the scenes reel of just me walking my dog, us doing our thing. So in that moment, I wanted a behind the scenes, candid, day in the life, this is me type of reel, right? In order to get it, I could have walked my dog all the way back inside. She's 150 pounds. I could have walked her all the way back inside, grabbed my tripod and my light, come back out, set it all up, walk back down the driveway, like reenacted the whole thing. But what does that mean? That means that the reel would not have been a behind the scenes reel. It would have been very curated and disingenuine and inauthentic, right? I didn't just want the reel. What I really wanted was for people to see me, be authentic, just for a camera to drop down out of the sky in that moment and just catch me walking and being. That's what I really wanted. I really wanted authenticity. So the point that I'm trying to make in today's video is that it's one thing to want something, whether that's the big vision or the smaller, more immediate, more granular desire. It's one thing for us to want it. It's a whole other thing for it to feel a certain way and for it to feel the way that we want it to. So I decided not to do the reel because for me, authenticity And being candid and being real is way more important to me than getting a shot. Because our work, whether it's as minute as a reel or as big as the larger impact that we're here to make in this world, our work has to feel good as we go, not just when we arrive. As I say, the outcome is amazing if the journey to get there is amazing. And that's one of the reasons why we have to do it differently. We have to do it differently. Those who are called, those who are pursuing their dream and what they are meant to do in this world, we have to do it differently. In that we cannot have, it cannot feel a certain way. It cannot be full of pushing and forcing and living in survival mode and feeling like we're not doing enough or we're not doing a good enough job. And then when we arrive, the sunshine is going to come out and we just suddenly feel better. No, that is not our calling. That is an illusion, is what that is. That is an illusion. It is us operating in the worldly ways, in the ways that we are programmed to operate. But when we're called, when we're pursuing our calling, we have to do it differently. We have to do it differently. And feeling good in each and every moment, feeling the way that we want it to feel, that is not self-indulgent by any means. It is the fuel that keeps us showing up fully. It is the fuel that keeps us showing up fully. It is the resonance of our calling. It is us keeping the gift that we have in its purest form. Not just at the finish line, but in every interaction, in every piece of content, in every client session, in every strategy meeting, in every pitch, in every showing, that it feel the way we want it to feel. And it's not about chasing comfort. That is not what feeling good. Those are not even related to each other. Oh my gosh, they are not related. That feeling good is not about chasing comfort. It's not about staying in our comfort zone. It's about recognizing when something is in alignment and when it's out of alignment. So that when it's out of alignment, we can course correct. Because if not, if we just keep showing up in this out of aligned state, then our passion, that's when our passion and our purpose can easily turn into resentment. When we feel good in each and every moment and it feels the way that we want it to feel, it allows us to detach from the external and external outcomes. It allows us to stay consistent without burning out. It allows us to actually enjoy the journey and fall in love with the journey instead of just enduring it and being on the ride because we have to. That is not the energy that we're here to bring, is it? Absolutely not. Hey guys, I hope you're loving this conversation as much as I did putting it together for you. Real quick, I wanted to touch on a couple of things. First, if you're enjoying this and you have a YouTube account, take 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button. Because I personally love using the subscriptions tab. It makes things so much easier to catch up on my favorite channels without having to search for them. So if you're getting value from this and want to keep the conversations going, go ahead and hit subscribe. It just makes things easier for you. It helps you stay in the loop. And it also tells YouTube to keep sharing this with other people who will benefit from it. Second, if you're resonating with what we're diving into here, I started something this year that I think you'll really love. It's called Grounded in Greatness, a space that
feels like both a deep exhale and a fire being lit. It's a no BS space for ambitious souls like us to get real about the highs and the lows of pursuing our dreams and the life that we feel called to take these conversations even deeper, and to feel more supported, aligned, and confident on our journey. So if that sounds like your kind of vibe, click the link in the description to join us. I would love to see you there. All right, back to it.
Because our calling, from my perspective, our calling is called through us. It is divine. We are like the river. And our calling is, I'm getting a vision of a box, of a wooden box that is dropped in the river, and it's up to us and how easy that wooden box flows to the other side. It's up to us and how many rocks it hits and how banged up the box gets. It's up to us. It's up to us. But the wooden box, our calling, our purpose is meant to be a source of good, not only for us, also our family and the world, the entire world, not at the expense of something else, not at a detriment, not to be a burden. No, the box in this analogy is beautiful. It is beautiful. It is sacred. It is special. And it deserves, quite frankly, it is worthy of flowing through a river and coming out the other side as whole and as full as it was when it was put in. Are you following me? Are you following me? That's what our calling is. It's called through us. And so when we focus on things feeling the way that we want it to feel, that's one way that we can make sure that it's not just sustainable, not just that the box gets to the other side, but that we reap the rewards of fulfillment, alignment, loving the journey, satisfaction, all of those things. And so it's one thing for us to want impact, to change lives, to leave our mark on the world. But what if all of that comes at the expense of something else that we also care about and something else that we're also called to? So what if pursuing the impact and the legacy that we're here to leave on this world, what if that comes at the expense of tearing our family apart, of getting a divorce, of going bankrupt, of having a major fallout with our best friend or our brother? What if it comes at the expense of that? And in my opinion, those are all signs that how we're pursuing our calling, or because we are pursuing our calling in that way, it is a sure sign that it will not stand the test of time, that it is not sustainable, that the box will not get to the other side. And of course, there are other examples, absolutely. In my life, bringing some tangibleness to the conversation, in my life, it has looked like me rushing to leave the dinner table just to make a post because I felt like I had to. It has looked like me arguing with my husband for an extended amount of time, just us bickering, because I felt like he wasn't supporting me in the way that I wanted him to. In my life, that has looked like bawling my eyes out because no one showed up to an event that I had planned. In my life, that has looked like waking up feeling like I had to, quote unquote, work that day. I had to show up that day. I had to do the things because I had to. No, we're not entitled to all of that. We are not entitled to our calling. There is no entitlement there. And when we operate in those places, not only is it a sign of lack and us not believing in ourselves, but it is rooted in entitlement. It is rooted in control. And so if our journey is filled with that kind of dread, that kind of resistance, then that feeling, it doesn't magically disappear once we hit a milestone, right? Once we achieve something, it doesn't magically disappear. Because like I said, the feeling that we carry along the way is the same one that we're going to carry when we quote unquote arrive. It is the exact same one. We cannot have the journey appearing one way and feeling one way, and then when we are standing on the stage, when we do have the New York Fashion Week appearances, when we sign that major client, when we see the physical manifestation of our calling, we are actually walking in our purpose. It's gotta be the same. It's gotta be the same. It's gotta be the same. And when it is, oh my gosh, not only I'm having a visceral experience right now, I just feel a lot of emotion going on because I know the impact of this on both sides, because I've been on both sides. Not only is it one of the most delicious and satisfying and soul nourishing feelings, we actually end up achieving more. We achieve more because our energy is clean. And when our energy is clean and pure, our creativity, oh my gosh, it flows. There is a flow, there is a productiveness. There is an energy that is, the high achiever in me. She thought she knew what being productive feels like. She thought she did. But once she started cultivating this kind of clarity and certainty in who she is and what she's doing and where she's going, it's amazing. It is amazing. Because we're not trying to manipulate outcomes. No, we are more focused on our mission than we are the metrics. Woo! Mission over metrics, as I say, mission over metrics. Because if our mission is truly about impact and legacy and serving others, then how we feel along the way, it matters just as much. Then when we achieve those things, then when we start selling the copies of our book, and when we start having the customers walk into our store, when we get the talk show appearance that we've been wanting, those moments matter just as much than when we're in our kitchen feeling a wave of inspiration. Believe me. And so feeling good, feeling how we want it to feel, it keeps us connected to why we started. Our quote unquote why that Simon Sinek, I can't remember his last name. the big why that Simon talks about, it keeps us connected to that. It keeps us connected to our vision. And it ensures that our work, it stays meaningful rather than it becoming transactional or numbers based. Because the truth is that at the end of the day, the people we're meant to help, they're not going to remember how many followers we have. They're not going to remember how many showings we've done. They're not going to remember what strategy we used or any of that stuff. But they will remember the energy that we bring, the clarity we provided, and the transformation they experienced. Because we're so rooted in our calling. We're so rooted in how we want it to feel and making that a priority so it is sustainable. So that no matter what, we have the sustainable energy. as long as we're meant to have it. I saw a guy, I'm not going to mention his name. I do follow him. He's on YouTube, and he's been absolutely incredible. He's been one of my teachers. I'm just so thankful for his work and the work that he has felt called to do. Well, recently, he has made the decision to shut it all down. Shut it all down. And no, I don't know the specifics of why he has felt called to shut it all down at the pinnacle of his career, at the pinnacle of his impact, why he's decided to shut it down. I don't know the specifics of that. But I can't help but wonder if at some point his calling started to feel the way that he truly didn't want it to feel. That maybe he was showing up in his community because he felt like he had to. Maybe he was showing up on YouTube because he felt like he had started creating these videos and his audience needed him. Maybe he showed up when his back was hurting and at the expense of his health. Maybe at the expense of his marriage. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I just can't help but wonder if he had prioritized it feeling the way that he wanted it to feel every step of the way, would he still feel the way he feels right now? Which he admitted that right now he feels like he is a slave to his audience. And that tells me right there that it doesn't feel good, that it does not feel the way that he wants it to feel, because he feels like he's a slave to his audience. I can tell you, I don't feel that way. I do not feel like I'm a slave to my audience. No. And so that right there just begs the question of what happened. Did he prioritize the way that it felt? Or was it this gradual thing where he created one video because he felt like he needed to, and then he showed up in his community because he felt like he needed to, and then maybe he didn't take his wife out because he was traveling for work even though he didn't want to travel away from her. Like, he just started making sacrifices and saying yes to things that he really wanted to say no to. And so I share this story with you as a real example of someone in this space who has been doing amazing things, and the work that he brings to this world is utterly incredible. And there could be many reasons why he feels called to shut it all down. I'm not here to pick that apart or to tell him that he's doing anything wrong by any means. No, just using him as an example of someone that I've seen recently who out of nowhere just decided to quit. And even if it isn't because of this right here, it is a prime example of what could happen if we don't prioritize how it feels in each and every moment, and we just focus on the things that we want. The success, the impact, the abundance, the prosperity, the lives that we change, the opportunities, the connections that we make. Because the world pushes and even places value on those metrics. On showing up when you feel like you have to, even though you don't want to. The world places value on hustle and grind and sacrifices. It emphasizes that you are doing good when you have a lot of followers, a lot of views, a lot of downloads, a lot of customers, whatever. And you're not doing good when you don't have those things. Like, what? Those things are not in my river. Those things did not come with the box when it dropped in. Those things did not come with my calling. No, absolutely not. And this goes with everything in our life, in my opinion. Everything in our life. In our marriage, our kids, our home life, our spiritual life, our health, our body. Because of we're not just called to one thing. No, we're called to so many things. So many things. And when we can get hooked on the internal and how it feels in every single moment, that's when it's constant and sustainable. And we truly get there before we get there. You know what I mean? Because again, we are so connected and so focused on our mission and what our mission feels like that those metrics don't all of a sudden determine that I've arrived. No, I arrived long before the world could see that I have arrived. And to me, any discourse is a sign of unalignment. That if it feels off, it is off. So, like I said, this goes in our marriage, our kids, our home life, our spiritual life, our health, our body. That whenever there's discourse, if you're arguing with your spouse, if there's yelling in the house and you're not getting along with your kids, if you're experiencing some sort of sickness or pain in your body, that it's a sign that something is out of alignment and that it's currently not in a state that it is meant to be. And that is an entirely different conversation, and I would love to jam out on that conversation because it's right at the tip of my tongue that I could go off on that tangent. But I'm not going to. I'm going to stay on track. And to me, really, the point is that when we notice something is out of alignment, it's just a cue for us to give our attention to that thing. That's all. That, hey, what's going on here? How can we bring this back into alignment? And if you've been married as long as I have, you know you have to do that quite often, right? Quite often. Same with kids. Same if you're really close with your family. Like, there are going to be so many times when things are out of alignment. So it's just a matter of how do we course correct here? How do we get back into alignment? And especially when it comes to our calling and our purpose, our emotions are one of the most accurate compasses we have when it comes to that. It's one of the most accurate compasses is how we feel. Because our emotions is what connects us to the spiritual realm, to the universe, to God. It's through our emotions. And so if our work regularly feels forced or frustrating or disconnected, it's often a sign that we have veered off from what we're truly meant to do. Or we have veered off in how we're meant to bring it about. So if you think about it, if you're flowing down a river and you accidentally go right, and you are meant to go left, what do? You'd probably, if it's a small enough river, you'd hop out and then go left again, right? So that's all we're doing here. That's all we're doing here when things are in alignment, when it's out of alignment, when it's not feeling the way that we want it to feel. And I really hope this conversation on what we're talking about, I really hope that it lands with you of how important it is for us to constantly check in with ourselves and ask, how did that feel? Did it feel the way I want it to feel? I think I've even asked myself that a couple of times throughout this video of, is it feeling the way that I want it to feel? I did it earlier when I was prepping for Grounded in Greatness. I did it again during Grounded in Greatness when I was hosting it. Do it all throughout the day. How does it feel? How does it feel? With the big and the small, just making sure, does it feel the way that I want it to feel in each and every moment? Because for me, that's my internal barometer to let me know if I'm quote unquote off track or on track. I know that if I'm feeling certain, if I'm feeling steadfast and truly grounded in how I'm showing up in each and every day, how I'm going about it, I know that my calling is still in its purest form, that that box is still boxy and made out of wood and whole. And at any point, if it doesn't feel that way, I know that there's a crack in the box somewhere and the water's gotten in. So all I need to do to repatch it is become aware of it. And then do the alignment work to get back into alignment. Because I want to remind you that your calling matters. Your vision matters. It is important. No matter where you are on the journey of pursuing your calling, whether you are just starting to realize that, you know what, I am made for more than this life, that I want more and I'm here to do more in this world. Whether you're just starting to have that realization, or maybe you have been pursuing your calling for a little while now, and pursuing your calling is not new to you. There have been multiple layers to what this calling has looked like. Multiple layers and multiple levels to this. No matter where you are on the journey, your calling matters. Your vision is important. But it was never meant to feel heavy every day. It was never meant to be at the expense of something else. For you to sacrifice a part of you so that you can tend to another part of you. It was never meant to be a burden or to feel like you're being punished. That is not the energy we're here to bring, and that is not the energy of your calling. And one of the truest ways that you can ensure your calling, your life's work, stands the test of time is to make sure that it feels good in every single moment. That it feels exactly how you want it to feel, as much as humanly possible. So it can be sustainable, so you can bring forth the beauty that you are called to bring forth in this world. And you can do the good in the way that only you can. Your vision is your compass. Stay certain, stay aligned, stay true to yourself.